Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances and Dandavat Pranam.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु
हरे
जी।
कृष्णा प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा। धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
Dandavat Pranam Prakash Rao Prabhuji. I welcome you to the early morning short Bhagavatam class organized by ISKCON Radha Govinda Temple, Kolai, Bengaluru. And indeed, I invite you for and on behalf of His Grace, Sri Namanista Das Prabhuji. As usual, we shall begin with our prayers. Prayers are very important. Unless we get the message very clearly, we would not be able to put them into practice. And what is the fun reading and doing all this hard work if we cannot progress in the spiritual path by putting things into practice? So I would recommend you also continue praying along with me, keeping your mute button on so that others are not disturbed. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagar Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sagar Dalitam Shri Vishakharvitansha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanamu Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastadi Gaurabhakta Vrunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna to all the devotees. May I request you to follow me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो
Om Namo
भगवते
Bhagavate
वासुदेवाय।
Janmadasya yato अन्वयाद इतिरस चार्थेष्वभिघ्नः स्वरात्
Janmadhyasya
जन्मादश्रयतो
यतो
अन्वयाद्
अन्वयतितरतश्च अर्धेषु अभिज्ञास्वराट्।
अभिज्ञस्वराट्।
तेने ब्रह्महृदया आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत् सूरयः
लीनीं ब्रह्महृदये कवयो मुह्यन्ति यत्सुरयः
तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा
तेनीवारिमृदां विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा
धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि
धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि
धर्मः प्रोजहिता कैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यमवास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदम् तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्
वेद्यं वा
वस्तु शिवदं अपत्रयो मूलनम्
श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः
श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं परैरीश्वरः
तद्यो रुद्य अवरुद्य तत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिः तत्क्षणात्
सद्योरुद्यावरुध्यते तत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिः
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं
मुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम् मुहुरहो रसिक भुवि भावुकः
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं
मुहुरहो
मुहुरहो
रसिका भुवि
भावुकाः
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव
नारायणं
नरोत्तमम्
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
देवीं
देवीं
सरस्वतीं
सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
शूर्णतां स्वकथाः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
श्रुतां
कथाः
कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
कथयन्ता सोऽयभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरस्तताम्
हृदयन्तस्थो भद्राणि
भद्राणि
हृदयन्ति
विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी
भगवती
भगवती
उत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी
Can you see my screen very well?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1st, verse number 21. Madhumehi Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kanyakubje dvijah kaschit dasipatir ajamilah namna nasta sadacharo dasyaha samsargadushitah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Narsiya Rao Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Kanya kubje dvijaha kachidasi patir ajamila namna nashta sadacharo dasyaha samsarga dushitaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Anjali Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Tanvat pranam. Kanya kubje dvijaha kashita dasi patihi ajamilaha namna nashta sadacharaha dasyaha sansarga dushitaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Usha Dayavati Mataji. Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kanya Gubje Dvije Kaschit Dasipatihi Ajamila Namna Nashta Sat Acharaham Tasya Samsarga Dushitaha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, you missed me.
Sorry?
My name, I have already raised hand on the like first, second
yes.
part.
Yes.
कोई बात नहीं.
Prakash
मैं,
Rao, go ahead.
हाँ,
Hare
please.
Krishna Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभुजी. Very nice to see you today.
Thank
Om
you.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kanyakubje dvijaha kachidasi pati ajamilaha namna nastapadacharu dasya samsarga dushitaha. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. And you are our co-host, Prabhuji, and
Yes,
you are
yes, I
doing
am
your
already
job
doing
very
the
well.
job.
Yes.
I
Thank
am
you.
honored.
Thank you. Subha Rao Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
प्रभु जी
Dandot Pranam
दंडवत
Prabhuji.
प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्यकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चिद्यासि पतिर्जमिलः नाम्ना नष्टसदाचारो दास्या संसर्गदूषिताः।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Pushpa Yashomati Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranam Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kanya Kubje Dvaja Kasit Tasi Padiraja Mila Hai. Namna Nashta Sadachare Tararo Tasya Samsarga Doshita Hai. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Usha Bhatt Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्यकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चित् दासी पति अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्ट सदाचारो दास्या संसर्ग दूषितः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Pranandini Madhvi Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्यकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चित् दासीपतिर् अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्ट सदाचारो दास्या संसर्गदूषितः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। थैंक यू प्रभु।
Mohinini Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्यकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चिद्दासीपति अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्ट सदाचारो दास्या संसर्गदूषितः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
Thank you. Vijaya Kumari Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कन्यकुब्जे तुजः कच्चिदासिवदित् अजामिला नाम्नां नष्ट सदाचारो दास्या संसर्ग दूषिता। Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Madhumati Vilasini Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्याकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चिद् दासीपतिः अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्ट सदाचारः दास्या संसर्गदूषितः। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Uttama Padma Devi Dasi ji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कान्यकुब्जे द्विजः कश्चिद्धासीपति अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्टा सदाचारो दास्याः संसर्गदूषितः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Thank you. Revati Ratnangi Mataji. Hare
हरे
Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रणाम प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कन्यकुब्जे तुजः कश्चित् दासीर्वदि अजामिलः नाम्ना नष्ट सदा सारो दास्यः समसर्गदूषितः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, Revati Mataji. Can you read synonyms for us, Mataji?
श्योर प्रभु जी। प्रणाम प्रभु जी। Kanyakubji, in the city of Kanyakubja, Kannauj, a town near Kanpur. Bijaha, Brahmanaha, Kashchit some, Dashti Patihi, the husband of a low-class woman or prostitute. Ajamila, Namna by name. Nastasat Achara, who lost all Brahminical qualities. Dasyaha, of the prostitute or maid servant. Samsaraga dushitaha, contaminated by the association. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Revati Ratnangi Mataji, for your kindness. Thank you. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the city known as Kanyakubja, there was a Brahmana named Ajamila who married a prostitute maid servant and lost all his Brahmanical qualities because of the association of the low-class woman. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The fault of illicit connection with women is that it makes one lose all Brahmanical qualities. In India, there is still a class of servants called Sudras whose maid servant wives are called Sudranis. Sometimes people who are very lusty establish relationship with such maid servants and sweeping women, since in the higher statuses of society they cannot indulge in the habit of women hunting. Women hunting, which is strictly prohibited by social conventions. Ajamila, a qualified Brahmana youth, lost all his Brahmanical qualities because of his association with prostitute. But he was ultimately saved because he had begun the process of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, in the previous verse, Sukadeva Goswami spoke of the person who has only come once surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord, or has just begun the Bhakti Yoga process. The Bhakti Yoga begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoha, hearing and chanting of Lord Vishnu's name, as in Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Namaiva Kevalam. Kadau Panasti Avanasti Eva Nasti Eva Gatir Anyakata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is always superbly effective, but it is especially effective in the age of Kali. Its practical effectiveness will now be explained by Sukadeva Goswami through the history of Ajamila, who was freed from the hands of the Yamaduta simply because of chanting the holy name of Narayana. Parikshit Maharaj's original question was how to be free from falling down into the hell, if you remember the hellish planets, or into the hands of the Yamadutas. In reply, Sukadeva Goswami is citing these old historical examples of example to convince Parikshit Maharaj of the potency of Bhakti Yoga, which begins simply with chanting of the Lord's name. All the great authorities of Bhakti Yoga recommend the devotional process beginning with the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. We started talking about the hellish planets. We learned all about hellish planet and how they are, or rather how awful they are. When we read through, we realize that at least if there is one place where we never want to go, would certainly be the hellish planet. They're so painful, they're so drastic, so unacceptable that you can't imagine yourself being there. If that happens to fallen ordinary people like you and me, I'm sure same thing would happen to a pure devotee like Parikshit Maharaj. And thus Parikshit Maharaj is asking his spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami, to tell the ways and means of not going there. In the beginning, as we learned in the first chapter, first 20 verses, we tried to find out what is the cause that we ultimately end up there. And we realize that it's the sinful reactions that we collect and gather throughout our life that makes us responsible to attend hellish planets. And so we thought of how to prevent these sinful reactions happening or burn them up somehow at the end of the life. And then came the question of atonement. We also realized when we discussed atonement that atonement is a process which burns up something. But since the cause remains there, the cause of the karmic activities which produces sinful reactions, is always there, never goes away. And that's why atonement fails. Since atonement ultimately fails, the question started coming up, what else? In the last few verses, 18, 19, and 20, Srila Prabhupada very nicely describes Bhakti Yoga and its strong effect of burning the sinful reactions so quickly, or rather consuming the sinful reactions like burning a wildfire and consuming everything that comes across the fire. And so now we are trying to explore the bhakti through the story of Ajamila. So this is where we stand. Just a slope before, or verse before, in verse number 20, Sukadeva Goswami explains that I'm now going to tell you a discussion between the carriers of the Vishnu and carriers of Yamaraja. You know that carriers of Yamaraja usually picks up those who are Nityabaddhas. They are being tied with a rope and taken away because generally Nityabaddhas never want to leave the material world. However, there are carriers of Vishnus, and if any of the soul that Yamaraja's carriers come to pick up speaks anything concerning the Lord, Supreme Personality of the Godhead, or his devotees, the moment they hear that from the mouth of those who are going to go back, immediately they leave that person for the carriers of the Vishnu Maharaj to come and pick up. The carriers of Vishnu Maharaj, as you know, are special carriers, and with lots of honor, they take the soul back to Godhead. So obviously there is a difference between the two. And if we call it in the present scenario, it's like a police van coming to pick you up at your home, have a nice chain on you, and then pick you up and take you to the police station. And you can imagine what kind of a scenario it creates for you and how greatly you are socially downgraded into nothing. Whereas if there is a VIP car that comes with a red signal on top and nicely attired people come and pick you up and let you sit at the back while the driver or a chauffeur is driving a nice limousine. And then your so-called material social status jumps up on the top. And so also we feel in our heart because we are material creatures. Similar differences between Yamaraja's carriers and carriers of Vishnu. At the end of that discussion, now begins the story of Ajamila. It begins with the hard fact that Ajamila has been a qualified Brahmana, and once someone who is qualified Brahmana is considered as a very intelligent man in our Varnashram Dharma, he has special privileges to go into any place that they desire, do whatever they desire in any part of the kingdom. They also are responsible for the teaching and training of Vedas to the population at large and to everyone else, including the king. The Brahmanas are also bestowed upon the benediction that they would advise the kings and the queens and the royal entourage about their administrative actions and give them suggestions. And Brahmana's suggestions are usually not overlooked but taken into consideration with great respect. These are the Brahmanical principles and applied to the Brahmana, but Ajamila, though a very qualified Brahmana, or the one actually had read and digested the Vedas, he knows the purpose of the Veda as well, and he knows and practices Veda, and thus he is qualified. But simply because he is attracted by a maid servant of a prostitute and gets associated with her in the form of a marriage, he gets downgraded and all the Brahmanical qualities are degraded and he is downgraded into a non-Brahmin. Indirectly, Srila Prabhupada explains to us the importance of devotees and association of devotees. You know it very well that this association of devotees makes all the difference in the life. It keeps you, if you are in proper association, it keeps you straight on your line of spiritual path. But if you are associated with general public, you obviously have diversions, and God knows which diversion is so strong that it can take you off the track of spiritual path. I'm sure by now you know that the moment you go to temple, you are sure of not going in through the material miseries of the material world and feel relieved and relaxed in the lap of the Lord. It is because you are sure about people who are there, either residing there or around there, are devotees. And these devotees have certain basic principles. One of them is compassion, and they always look at you with that compassion and always to comfort you in all your issues. This thing does not exist or is not there in the material world because we all are taught from the beginning to have competition and we must defeat the others in the competition one way or the other. And this one way or the other is the issue. One goes to any extent to win the war. I told you time and again, and I'm repeating it for the sake of repetition. It is saying that certain systems brings the best out of the product and the worst out of the people. One of the example is the West. They produce the best products that can certainly attract you even in the middle of your sleep. But the worst relationship that exists all around. We in the East give a lot of respect to our teachers, and student-teacher relationship is a lifetime relationship that exists with reverence and respect from a student and parental love and affection from a teacher. However, in the West, those feelings are negligible or almost not there. and many of them get entangled into various nefarious activities together. And so the association, as Srila Prabhupada has explained, is very important. And Srila Prabhupada explains here that Yamaraja went back simply because he, Ajamila, uttered a word Narayana, who happens to be his son. And they thought him to be a devotee. Bhakti yoga is very, very important. And Lord Kapil Dev, his teaching, which will come in the third canto, unit 14, 13 and 14, where Kapil Dev explains at length the Sankhya philosophy and all his teachings. All these teachings of Kapil Dev are very similar or almost same as the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or, in other words, we can say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu endorses the entire teaching of Kapil Dev. Sankhya philosophy, which endorses the devotional service as the main stay of present day going back to Godhead, also called Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga is enhanced by analytically analyzing each element that makes Jiva and Prakriti. When we analyze those elements and we come further into a transcendental knowledge by seeing their nature and characteristics of all these elements, that binds into what we call an invoking of a knowledge that keeps you in the devotional service so strongly that once you know the Sankhya philosophy, your devotion and devotional services would end up into an uninterrupted and causeless or ahaitukik. The love and affection that grows from that ahaitukik and uninterrupted loving devotional service ends up into creating a nice bhava and love, and then the rasas that transfers between the devotee and the Lord. And that's what is ultimate thing. Thus, Bhakti Yoga is considered to be one of the very strong and the most powerful process. And it begins by simple chanting and shravanam. Now we are coming to the main point after all these philosophical parts. I'll just add one sentence for your remembering. Philosophy without religion is nothing but mental speculation. And religion without any philosophy is just a sentiment. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains. Bhakti Yoga begins with Shravanam and Kirtanam. And that's why if you look at the temple programs and daily programs that Srila Prabhupada has prescribed and organized for us is such that if you do all of that, those are all parts of the devotional services that entangles you and then ultimately makes it a spontaneous process, eventually converting all of us into Raganuga Bhakta and keeping us in track so nicely that without even fully understanding, we are on this path of spiritual walking. As I said earlier, here it says about the Shravanam and Kirtanam. Kirtanam we know very well, that includes even Japa. And so we must every day have a dose of Nam Japa. Nam Japa without offenses and with pure wordings that we understand and hear very clearly so that our mind is concentrated on the name of the Lord. And it is followed by, after the kirtanas, after the artis, are the Srimad Bhagavatam classes that we have in the temple in the morning, and the one that we are right now having here. This is Shravanam. Shravanam Krishna Katha is the most important part of the beginning of the day. This auspiciousness that is creates and surrounds us always remains with us as a big, big kavach, what we call it, to keep you decontaminated from the material world that we mix into and play with. And thus, these morning parts of beginning with the devotional service are very, very important. Eventually, as I say, these Shravanam and Kirtanam brings a joyfulness, and that joyfulness transcends the knowledge, which then eventually you develop gradual detachment from the material world, what we call a process of renunciation and attachment to the Lord. The process of attachment and detachment are simultaneous, and ultimately you get fully attached to the Lord, the process known as surrendering unto the Lord, where you surrender to the Lord and depend for everything to the Lord and have full faith and trust all the time that whatever is required, whenever is required, will be there with the mercy of the Lord. That's the ultimate stage where you serve the Lord and use all your assets, all your available things, including yourself, for the satisfaction and sense gratification of the Lord Himself. It's a very nice beginning of the Bhakti Yoga that eventually we'll see how it goes in form of conversation and discussion. Any question, any comments, any suggestions, any doubts? Please go ahead.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thanks for the beautiful class with so many analogies. I don't have any question. I just want to share my thoughts with two analogies, Prabhuji. How you said like the rogues and thieves who have committed so many mistakes. They are taken in limousine and chauffeur cars. They'll think that it's a pride moment for them. They won't realize what the like evil they have done. That's one thing. And the other one is the association of the devotees. Continuously, if we are associated with the devotees, how we get how we get transformed ourselves and go ahead in the bhakti path. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Usha Bhatt Mataji. Wonderful revelation. Thank you for sharing that with us. But you're very right. As the time goes, we'll be more and more dependent on the association. And as Prema Kishori Mataji always says, that when you are in association with the devotees, you feel very comfortable and that becomes your comfort zone. That does not happen when you are with the material world and the people around you. Thank you, Mataji. Any other comments? Any other suggestion? Revelation? Please go ahead. Try and make a practice. All of you are going to be teachers anyway. Yes, Pranandini Mataji, go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Actually, for this devotee association, we are so much thankful and so much proud also, Prabhuji, that we are getting. You rightly told now, whenever we are going for any material association, then we feel that something is missing. And when we come out from there, then we feel that I should not have gone there. Why I went there? That feeling comes. But when you get some association of the devotee, then you think that so much blissful. So more and more we want to be associated with devotee. So that is actually kavacha for us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Pranandini Mataji. You are absolutely right. At least I can give my example that for the association of Prema Kishori Mataji, I know that I am going to lose 40-45 minutes of my japa, and that will drag me into earlier part of the morning away from it. But still, that association is so mesmerizing and amazing that I would always join the Bhagavatam class. So it's the association which is very important, for which we are very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for creating this wonderful Krishna conscious movement, that you can get as much association as you would like, whenever you would like, at whatever place you would like. So we must all be very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for creating this movement where this association is freely available. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your perception. Any other ideas, perception, commentary? Well, if there are none, thank you very much, all of you, for attending the early morning class. We deeply appreciate this, and we love to see you again regularly from tomorrow onwards. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patita nama pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anek koti Vaishnav ki jai. Hare Krishna to all of you. Have a most wonderful day and have a Krishna conscious moments all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.